Revenge in Islam. Is it allowed for a Muslim to take revenge on their wrongdoer? In the modern world, the topic of revenge and its place in religious teachings raises many questions. One of the religions where the attitude toward revenge holds a special place is Islam. The question of whether a Muslim can take revenge on their wrongdoer has deep roots, and in order to provide a precise answer, it is necessary to refer to Islamic teachings and sacred texts. In this video, we will try to explore this topic in detail. Islam is a religion that emphasizes forgiveness, mercy, and tolerance. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, "He who does not forgive others will not be forgiven by Allah." This principle forms the foundation of the Islamic attitude toward revenge. Revenge is not seen as the main principle for resolving conflicts or solving problems, and there are frequent calls for forgiveness and patience. A key characteristic of a Muslim is the striving for a heart free from hatred and evil. The Quran, as the sacred book of Muslims, contains many guidelines on the topic of dealing with insults and revenge. One verse states, "If someone wrongs you, let him forgive. It is better to forgive than to take revenge." Surah 42:40. This highlights the idea that forgiveness is a higher act than revenge. Furthermore, the Quran also mentions retribution for wrongdoings, and if someone wrongs you, do not exceed the limits, for Allah does not love those who exceed the bounds. Surah 2:190. Here, it is emphasized that even if a person is wronged, revenge should not be excessive and should not violate justice. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, serves as an excellent example of how to respond to offenses. His life is full of instances where he demonstrated generosity and forgiveness, even in the face of great hardship. When he was wronged, he often responded with patience rather than revenge. One of the most famous episodes is the story of when the Prophet was exiled from Mecca, and then returned to the city as a conqueror. When his enemies were before him in full number, they appealed to him for forgiveness, and the Prophet forgave them without seeking revenge, despite all the suffering they had caused him. This shows that true greatness in Islam lies not in revenge, but in forgiveness and mercy. However, despite the emphasis on forgiveness, Islam also acknowledges the right to just revenge in certain cases if a person has been wrongfully harmed. In Islamic jurisprudence, there is the concept of qisas, meaning retribution for a crime. But it is important to note that in the case of retribution, there are clear rules and limitations. One example is the concept of blood revenge, which exists in some countries, but in Islam, it is strictly regulated. If someone kills another person, the relatives of the deceased may demand punishment, but they must act within the law and not exceed the limits of justice. Moreover, if they choose to forgive the murderer, it will also be highly regarded in the sight of Allah. According to the Quran, in the retribution for a life, there is life for you, O people of understanding, that you may be conscious of Allah. Surah 2:179. This teaching emphasizes the importance of adhering to limits and established norms. Islam categorically forbids violating these norms and establishing punishments based on personal discretion. For a Muslim, it is important to understand that offense and anger are natural human emotions that may arise in response to injustice. However, Islam teaches how to deal with these feelings in the right way. It is important to remember that anger is a trial, and if a Muslim can control it, they come closer to perfection. The Quran gives the following advice: those who restrain their anger and forgive people are those whom Allah loves. Surah 3:134. This teaching calls for believers to control their negative emotions and strive for inner peace. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, also said, "The strong person is not the one who overcomes in the fight, but the one who is able to control himself when angry." This teaching shows that true strength lies not in revenge, but in self-restraint and forgiveness. So, can a Muslim take revenge on their wrongdoer? The answer to this question is that Islam permits revenge only in cases where it is carried out within the bounds of law and justice. However, forgiveness and patience are preferred and are considered more elevated acts. Thus, Islam teaches its followers that the best path is the path of forgiveness, mercy, and tolerance, rather than revenge. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, demonstrated through his life how one can overcome offenses by showing generosity and kindness, and it is this approach that should serve as a model for Muslims. That's all for today. If you found this video interesting, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and share the video with your friends. Assalamu alaikum.